Hare Krishna. Welcome back.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nigamakalpatarorgalitam phalam sukamkatam dita dhruvasamyitam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam bhurgorasika bhuvibhavakaha. Narayanam namaskritya naranchaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Ashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatvittam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiti. Om Ajnanatimanandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guron Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guron Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagagana Ragnatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकात्मे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुं गायते कृपादपनं वन्दे शीघ्रं चिन्तारणं परमानन्दमाधवं चैतन्यमीश्वरं कथाञ्चन स्मृते यस्मिन् दुष्करं सुकरं भवेत् स्मृते प्रीतं साक्षि चैतन्यं नमामि। Okay, so something to remember from yesterday's class? Anything? Quick points to remember from yesterday's class?
About faith, Prabhuji, we discussed the faith of Indra and Vritasur, and we discussed that we should have faith like Vritasur, and our faith should be strong.
Yes, good. So we discussed about faith. So this whole section is about faith. Good, thank you. Anybody else?
A devotee never interferes in God's plans.
Yeah.
And everyone celebrates life, but Srimad Bhagavatam celebrates death.
Okay, good. Good. Anybody else? Anything?
We also spoke about how Vritrasur was acting as a spiritual master of Indra, and he was guiding him so that he can get his faith back.
Yes, yes. Okay. So we left, yes, Jagat Mata Sachi Mata. Your voice is not visible, audible because you are muted.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Unless we are made to walk through fire, our faith cannot be tested.
Yes. Okay. So we left the whole pastime in a very interesting situation where Indra, he cut off one hand of Vritrasura. And Vritrasura also lost his weapon, which is the trident. But Vritrasura, he actually came back and then he hit him with an iron mace. And he hit Indra's jaw with an iron mace. And then Indra, he dropped his weapon due to that hit. Due to the intensity of that hit, Indra dropped his weapon. Now everybody is worried. And they're all thinking that, no, now what will happen? Okay. So Rukmini Harisya Mataji has a hand up. Yes.
Krishna Prabhuji, the faith part, that Indra's faith was not so strong, and he didn't even even Lord came to him and gave the direct instruction. Then even he had doubt, but on the other hand, the faith of Vritrasur is so strong and as we see the prayers of Vritrasura, so he was saying that everything is in God's hand, and how in the few verses, first of all, he um, uh, he rebuked Indra. Vritrasura rebuked Indra. Then he at the last he was with the prayers. He was making me understand, and that's it, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. Okay, let's start from translation of 6. Please read translation of 6. Please post the
Having,
reading order, let them follow the reading order. Yeah.
having dropped the thunderbolts from his hand in the presence of his enemy, Indra was practically defeated and was very much ashamed. He dared not pick up his weapon again. Vritasura, however, encouraged him, saying, "Take up your thunderbolt and kill your enemy. This is not the time to lament your fate."
Hmm. Okay, next.
Vritrasura continued, O Indra, no one is guaranteed of being always victorious, but the original enjoyer, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Bhagavan. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and he knows everything. Being dependent and being obliged to accept material bodies, belligerent subordinates are sometimes victorious and sometimes defeated.
See the knowledge he has. He knows very clearly that the only one person who is always victorious, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, in the Bhagavatam, the third topic is Sthanam or Sthiti. And the third topic in Bhagavatam is explained by Sukadeva Goswami as Sthiti Vaikuntha Vijayaha. The Lord is always victorious. This is the position of the Lord. The Bhagavatam is meant to proclaim the victory of the Lord. So, because Vritrasura, he is a great and mature devotee, so therefore he pointed out to Indra that, oh great Indra, it is not time to lament about your defeat. Please understand that everybody has to be sometimes defeated, sometimes they are victorious. But the only person who is always victorious is the Supreme Lord. So then, how to be always victorious? Now, if we join the plan of the Lord, we will be always victorious. Irrespective of whether we are apparently defeated or not. This is a very important point. It's a very important point. Apparently, we may be defeated. That is what Krishna was trying to tell Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita repeatedly. Sukadike samekritva labha labho jaya jayo. Tathaya yuddhaya yujjasa daivam papam vapsyasi. Apparently, sometimes we may be victorious. Apparently, sometimes we may be defeated. But if that apparent victory and apparent defeat is as per the plan of the Lord, then we are always victorious. That is the point. And Arjuna understood that in Bhagavatam, because Arjuna was defeated by simple cowherdsmen who, when he was coming back from Dwaraka with the wives of Krishna, some simple people attacked him and they defeated him. And Arjuna understood, oh, this is what Krishna was saying, that sometimes I could be defeated also. And that is after Krishna's plan. If you accept that, okay, I am getting defeated, this is as per Krishna's plan, then one becomes victorious. And that's how we see in Bali's case also. That's the same thing we see in Vritrasura's case also. Apparently, they were defeated, but actually they were victorious because they accepted victory and defeat as per Krishna's plan. Okay, please read translation.
All living beings in all the planets of this universe, including the presiding deities of all the planets, are fully under the control of the Lord. They work like birds caught in a net, who cannot move independently.
Next, please read.
Krishna.
Our sensory prowess, mental power, bodily strength, living force, immortality, and mortality are all subjects to the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not knowing these foolish people think the dull material body to be the cause of their activities. So when a person thinks like this, then he gets affected by victory and defeat. Because he thinks that by his material body, and the strength of his material body, he is attaining victory, or due to the lack of the strength of his material body, he is attaining defeat, because he comes in the bodily conception of life and then thinks that his identity is his body. So then he gets entangled in the dualities of victory, defeat, profit, loss, all these things. Okay. Now he gives a second, he gives a very nice example. Okay.
O King Indra, as a wooden doll that looks like a woman, or as an animal of a grass and leaves, cannot move or dance independently, but depends fully on the person who handles it. All of us dance according to the desire of Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead. No one is independent.
So a person who recognizes this is a devotee. A person who does not recognize this is a demon. Now, here, the irony of the situation is that the person who has recognized this has been externally recognized as a demon. So he is giving this advice to a person who is externally recognized as a devotee. So Indra is externally recognized as the king of demigods, and Vritrasura is externally recognized as demon. But he is saying, Yatha darumayi nari, yatha pratramayo mrigaha, evam bhutani magavan, ishatantrani viddibho. So he's saying that your situation, my situation, everything is controlled by the Lord. So therefore, when you try to be independent, then you start thinking in terms of your own benefit and your own misery, thinking that you have to manage everything. But if you accept that, okay, Krishna is managing everything, then whatever Krishna gives, this should be all right. We should accept it. Okay, please read.
Gita Krishna Prabhuji.
The three Purushas, Karnaktakshay Vishnu, Karvotakshay Vishnu, and the Sirubdakshay Vishnu, the material nature, the total material energy, the false ego, the five material elements, the material senses, the mind, the intelligence, and the consciousness cannot create the material manifestation without the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So this is very important point he is bringing, that there is Krishna's plan in this creation. A devotee recognizes this. A demon does not recognize this. A demon thinks that the creation has come out of Big Bang, man came out of monkey. They come up with all these different kind of theories because they fail to recognize that there is actually Krishna's plan behind this creation. So one who understands that plan, then he is able to take up the best use of the creation, because he knows that Krishna has a plan. Krishna has given me this body. Krishna is giving me these different circumstances. So these are all Krishna's plan to take me back home, back to Godhead. So how will I use every experience towards that? So this is what we see in Bhagavatam, that great devotees are so expert in understanding Krishna's plan and utilizing that plan to go back home, back to Godhead, like Parikshit. He gets cursed. And he knows, okay, this is Krishna's plan to take me back home, back to Godhead. Now I have 7 days time. I will go, I will listen to Bhagavatam, and I will go back home, back to Godhead. So like that, every person in Bhagavatam understands that this is Krishna's plan for me and surrenders to that plan. And then the person gets greatly benefited. Now Vritrasura is telling Indra that this is the plan. Krishna's plan for you is that you should kill me and you should remain Indra. Krishna's plan for me is that I should get killed and I should go back home, back to Godhead. Let us execute this plan. So this way, both of us will serve Krishna. Okay.
A foolish, senseless person cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although always dependent, he falsely thinks himself the Supreme. If one thinks according to one's previous fruit of actions, one's material body is created by the father and mother, and the same body is annihilated by another agent as another animal is devoured by a tiger. This is not proper understanding. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself creates, endeavors the beings through other living beings.
So this is very important. We know that law of karma works, and according to law of karma, one gets his happiness and his suffering. But law of karma is also not independent. Law of karma is made by Krishna and is dependent on Krishna. That's why in Brahma Samhita, Brahma says, Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. So he's saying two things. Yasmindra gopam atavendra mahosva karma bandhanurupa falabhajana matanoti. He says that everybody walks in the path of karma. Everybody has to suffer their karma phala. So if everybody has to walk in the path of karma, and if everybody has to suffer their karma phala, then what is the need for God? There's no need for God. Technically, there's no need for God. Because you should just do some good karma and you should just enjoy. That's it. Because you are only suffering your karma phala or you're enjoying your karma phala. So you should just focus on karma. You should not focus on God. This is karma mimamsa philosophy. But it is not so, because karma, also the law of karma or the law of nature is not independent. Law of nature is Krishna's law and Krishna controls it. So therefore, Brahma, he actually clarifies, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Those who engage in devotional service, for them, Krishna takes personal control of their karma. And then he makes sure that how they can go back to Godhead. So therefore, he is telling, Vritrasura is telling Indra that, oh my dear Indra, don't think that it is your karma to get defeated and killed by me. That's why you are in this situation. You depend on the Lord. The Lord has given you some message. The Lord has given you some mission. You have faith and you focus on that mission. That's what you should do. Okay, please read.
Just as
Leela,
a person not inclined to die must nonetheless give up his longevity, opulence, fame, and everything else at the time of death. So, at the appointed time of victory, one can gain all these when the Supreme Lord awards them by his mercy.
So, these things are not very, very important in one sense, because they come and then they go. So, he's saying, I am going to lose this body by the Lord's mercy. You are going to gain your position by Lord's mercy. So, let's go ahead and do it. Okay. Next.
Priya Satyavan.
The highlighted text?
No, please read translation.
Okay.
Translation of 14.
Actually, my network dropped, so sorry for this. Text 14. Since everything is dependent on the supreme will of personality of Godhead, one should be equipoised in fame and defamation, victory and defeat, life and death. In their effects, represented as happiness and distress, one should maintain oneself in equilibrium without anxiety.
Okay, please read next.
One who knows that the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are not qualities of the soul, but the qualities of material nature, and who knows that the pure soul is simply an observer of the actions and reactions of these qualities, should be understood to be a liberated person. He is not bound by these qualities.
So, having given him enough theory, finally he gives some practical example, and he gives the example of himself. He says, Pashyamam nirjitam shatro. He says that you look at me, man, you look at me. So, you see, please read the translation.
Oh, my enemy, just look at me. I've already been defeated, for my weapon and arm have been cut to pieces. You have already overwhelmed me, but nonetheless, with a desire to kill you, I'm trying my best to fight. I'm not at all morose, even under such adverse conditions. Therefore, you should give up your moroseness, and continue fighting.
Then he gives another example. Okay.
O my enemy, consider this battle a gambling match in which our lives are at the stakes. The arrows are the dice, and the animals acting as carriers are the same board. No one can understand who will be defeated and who will be victorious. It all depends on providence.
So he very nicely explained to him that you see how I am so enthusiastic in spite of losing one hand, in spite of losing my weapon. I'm so enthusiastic. Why? Because I understand Krishna's plan. So you should also be like that. You should also understand Krishna's plan and you should just simply execute and you should leave the result to Krishna, and whatever result Krishna gives, you should be happy with that. Only when you're attached to the result, then the problem comes. Indra is attached to winning. Dhritarashtra is not attached to winning. Dhritarashtra is attached to doing his duty. Because Indra is attached to winning, then he has so much problem. He is not attached to doing his duty. He is attached to winning. So therefore, that is his problem. So Dhritarashtra pointed out that defect. He said that you leave the victory and defeat to the Lord. Even though the Lord himself has assured you that you will be victorious, still you should not be attached to victory. You should simply be attached to the process of fighting. So you fight. So eventually whatever has to happen will happen. So this way, he gave him very good advice. Okay. Please read the translation.
Shukdev Goswami said, hearing the straightforward, instructive words of Vritrasur, King Indra praised him and again took the thunderbolt in his hand. Without bewilderment or duplicity, he then smiled and spoke to Vritrasur as follows.
Indra Vacha Aho Danava Siddhosi. So he actually told him that Siddhosi, that you are perfect. You are perfect. Yasya te matir idrishi bhakta sarvatmanatmanam suhridam jagadishwaram. So he actually glorified him very nicely. So this is Granda's glorification of Vritrasura. Please read.
Indra said, O great demon, I see by your discrimination and endurance in devotional service, despite your dangerous position, that you are a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul and friend of everyone.
So therefore, naturally, he is also friend of Indra. He is not enemy of Indra. Vritrasura, even though he is fighting with Indra, he is not enemy of Indra. He is also friend of Indra. So Indra is acknowledging that. He is acknowledging that. Yeah, you are everybody's friend. Okay. Okay, please read.
प्रभु जी, you are गीता कृष्ण प्रभु जी, आप म्यूट पे हो.
Sorry. You have surmounted the illusory energy of the Lord Vishnu, and because of this liberation, you have given up the demonic mentality and have attained the position of an exalted devotee.
So he said that you have become a great devotee. He recognized Vritrasura as a great devotee. Thank you. Now please read.
O Vritasura, demons are generally conducted by the mode of passion. Therefore, what a great wonder it is that, although you are a demon, you have adopted the mentality of a devotee and have fixed your mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, who is always situated in the pure goodness.
So that is Mahat Ashcharyam. Love is a Mahat Ashcharyam. He said, oh, this is great. Great. You are like this. Okay.
A person fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, Hari, the Lord of the highest auspiciousness, swims in the ocean of nectar. For him, what is the use of the water and small ditches?
So, very beautiful sloka. Yasya bhakti bhagavati haro nishrashreyasvare vikridito amritam bodho. Amritam Bodho. Amritam Bodho means that ocean of nectar. Kim Shudre Kata Kodakaihi. That what is this use of this post of Indra or small pleasures of this material world? So he became properly situated now because of the advice of Vritrasura. Okay. Please read translation.
Sri Shukdev Goswami said, Vritrasura and King Indra spoke about devotion service even on the battlefield, and then as a matter of duty, they again began fighting. My dear king, both of them were great fighters and were equally powerful.
Oh, now Indra is now back in his proper position as a fixed up devotee. Now he knows how to fight, and he has been properly advised by Vritrasura. So they both fought as a matter of duty. Now there was no passion in that fighting. So they both fought as a matter of duty. Okay, the rest of the chapter explains how they both fought. So let us read the purports. Some of very interesting, very instructive purports Prabhupada has given in this section. So we'll read them and then we'll move forward. Okay, please read. Read the purport which is highlighted.
Victory is always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As for the subordinate living entities, they fight under the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Victory or defeat is not actually theirs. It is an arrangement by the Lord through the agency of material nature. Pride in victory or moroseness in defeat is useless.
Both are useless.
One must act sincerely according to his position. Victory or defeat depends on the Lord. Vritrasur encouraged Indra, saying, "Don't be morose because of my victory. There is no need to stop fighting. Instead, you should go with your duty. When Krishna desires, you will certainly be victorious." This verse is very instructive for sincere workers in Krishna consciousness movement. We should not be jubilant in victory or morose in defeat. We should make a sincere effort to implement the will of Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we should not be concerned with victory and defeat. Our only duty is to work sincerely so that our activities may be recognized by Krishna.
It's a very, very valuable advice which Prabhupada is giving us. In fact, when I was making some management presentation for the GBC about the Mayapur master plan, we found one very interesting quote from Prabhupada. And Prabhupada actually had said that at that time, Prabhupada gave a lecture in Mayapur. And Prabhupada said that we have big plans. We want to, I'm just paraphrasing, we want to construct a big city in Mayapur. We have 200 acres of land. And then he said very important point. He said, when Lord Chaitanya is pleased, everything will manifest. Is what he said, Prabhupada said. So, Prabhupada, he was actually making his plans and he was sure that Lord Chaitanya will manifest his plans. But Prabhupada did not see those plans manifesting in his lifetime. But that did not stop him from making those plans. It's a very important thing. Prabhupada gives such a detailed instruction on how to build TOP, what should be done, how the TOP should be built, domes, the chandelier, and that and this, and so many things Prabhupada gave so much detailed instruction. Same way, Prabhupada gave so many detailed instructions on how Mayapur should be, what kind of activities should happen in Mayapur. So many detailed instructions he gave. He did not think, oh, I don't have the money to do things now, so let me not worry about it. When there is money, those who will do, they will worry about it. No. He gave such elaborate instructions. Why? Because Prabhupada understands this, that it is the duty of the devotee to work with full enthusiasm, irrespective of what result he can see or what result he cannot see. That is not up to him. He may be able to see some result and he may not be able to see some result. But still it is duty of a devotee to work with full enthusiasm. And then when Krishna is pleased, then everything else will manifest. Now we see TOP is manifesting very nicely. Mayapur has a big master plan and so many things. So, like that, Prabhupada gave many instructions. Prabhupada said that there should be one ashram. Now, some devotees say, oh, it's very practical. Some say, oh, it's impractical. People are discussing that whether one ashram will happen or not. Definitely, it will happen. But when Lord Chaitanya is pleased, everything will manifest. So, therefore, it is important to have that faith. We may not have the intelligence to figure out how things will happen. That's a different story. We may not have the intelligence to figure out. We may not have the wherewithal to do things. That's also a different story. But still, we should have faith in the words of the Acharya. We should not think, oh, it's all not happen. It's all some not so practical things. It will not happen. Always we should think that we should have faith, and we should try to contribute to whatever cause we are attracted to the best of our ability. Not that everybody can do everything. Some people can do great things. Some people can do simple things. Doing great things or doing simple things doesn't matter. We should do something that matters. That matters. Not that everybody can do great things. Some people are destined to do great things. Some people are destined to do simple things. But simple things are also important. Great things are also important. And the most important thing is to actually give your full ability and intelligence and resources to Krishna. I then see how you can serve in the best possible way. So it's a very valuable advice Prabhupada is giving. We should make sincere effort to implement the will of Krishna. That is what we should do. Okay, so please read this purport. Next purport.
In this fight, Vritrasura is actually the Sura, whereas Indra is Asura. No one can act independently. Rather, everyone acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, victory and defeat come according to the result of one's karma, and the judgment is given by the Supreme Lord. Karmana Devanetrena. Whether we are defeated or victorious, the Supreme Lord is always victorious because everyone acts under his directions.
So this is a very important point. The Lord is always victorious. So if we are always aligned with the Lord, then in spite of the apparent victory or defeat, we can all be always victorious. Okay. Please read.
We are all servants of Krishna. We have no independence. We are dancing according to the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But out of ignorance and illusion, we think we are independent of the Supreme Will.
So then we get worried about so many different things. Okay. Please read.
Anisha Jiva Rupena. The living entity is Anisha, never the controller, but is always controlled. Therefore, when a living entity becomes proud of being an independent Ishvara or God, that is his foolishness.
Okay. Next.
According to the conclusion of the philosophy known as Karma Mimamsa, one's karma or previous fruitive activity is the cause of everything, and therefore there is no need to work. Unless one receives dictation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who sits within everyone's heart, one cannot be induced to create anything. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is the cause of one's being killed. No one is independent. Everyone is dependent. The true conclusion is that the only independent person is the Supreme Personality of God.
So therefore, he is called Swarat, self-ruled. But everybody else is dependent on him. So when we don't understand this, then we are in a very miserable situation in the material world. But when we understand this, we can always be enthusiastic that we are dependent on the Lord for whatever happens. So then we can always be enthusiastic because whatever we do will still depend on the Lord. And whatever the Lord gives, we'll always be happy because we know that the Lord is our well-wisher. So this way, when the dependence on the Lord is complete, then we can always be enthusiastic in whatever we do. Okay, please read.
It is not good to be falsely puffed up, saying that by one's own effort one has become opulent, learned, beautiful, and so on. All such good fortune is achieved through the mercy of the Lord. From another point of view, no one wants to die, and no one wants to be poor or ugly. Therefore, why does the living entity against his will receive such unwanted troubles? It is due to the mercy or chastisement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead one gains or loses everything material. There is there is a common saying in Bengal that the Lord has 10 hands. This means that he has control everything in the 8th direction and up and down. If he wants to take everything away from us with his 10 hands, we cannot protect anything with our 2 hands. Similarly, if he wants to bestow benediction upon us with his 10 hands, we cannot factually receive them all with our 2 hands. In other words, the benedictions exceed our ambitions. Therefore, either in opulence or in distress, we are not independent. Everything is dependent on the sweet will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, so this is a very important understanding in our own lives. Then we can be undisturbed. When we have this understanding, we can be undisturbed. And we can actually follow the path of devotional service in a very sincere manner. Otherwise, we'll always be disturbed. We'll try to do something according to our mind. We'll try to do something according to our intelligence. And we'll always remain disturbed. Yes, Minnie, can you say Minnie?
One question I'm getting that suppose one met with an accident, and just after the accident, if a devotee, let's say devotee meets with an accident, and immediately he will be taken to the hospital, and or anybody gets ill, so he takes some medicines, this and that. So is it not doing against to the supreme will because of the Lord? Because supreme Lord wants that person to be suffered in this way. Of course, that would be the Krishna's great plan for his good one. That understand, that I can understand. But what if going to the hospital, taking the medicine, is this not against the doing against the supreme will of the Lord?
It's not against the Supreme Lord's will because these are all common remedies which are available to mitigate the distress. It's not that, accepting the Supreme will means that if I become sick, I will not go to the doctor. Oh, Krishna wants me to become sick, so I will become sick and I will not go to the doctor. This is not the way to act. Krishna has also given common remedies to whatever we could face. So one should employ those common remedies. This is, it's like, okay, Krishna wants me to fight, so I'll just go and fight. But if you're not enthusiastic in your fight, like Indra, he's not enthusiastic in his fight, things are not going to work. So Krishna wants you to fight, you should go and fight with full enthusiasm. And fighting with full enthusiasm means that when somebody is throwing weapon, you should try to cut it. You should do everything. You should make all common remedies which is normally given there, which is normally available. But in spite of those common remedies, whatever Krishna wants will happen. Like, if someone meets with an accident, then you go to the hospital, you take treatment. Sometimes people survive, sometimes people die. But when they survive, sometimes they have some disability, right? Or sometimes they become all right completely. So everything happens as per Krishna's plan. So with that plan, we should try to work our best to how to become Krishna conscious. That is the point which is there. It's not that, okay, I meet with an accident, I'll just lie on the road and I'll bleed to death. That's not intelligence. That's not intelligence. Intelligence is to seek some common remedies, which is always available, but accept the result which ultimately comes out as Krishna's mercy. So now what is happening? Somebody becomes sick, then they go to doctor, and if the sickness is not cured, then they become very angry with Krishna. Oh Krishna, I'm doing so much. Why are you not curing my sickness? You should cure my sickness. You're not curing my sickness. They become angry with Krishna. That is not correct. So you go, you do whatever you have to do, and you take reasonable steps to cure yourself. But if the sickness is not going, and if the sickness has become so serious that it has to take your life, then you better think of how to die thinking of Krishna. But if the sickness is getting cured, then better you use your body for Krishna's purpose. Yeah. So, therefore, the balance has to be kept. It's not that one should not do their duty. That is also wrong. It's not that, okay, everything is controlled by Krishna, so I will just sit home quiet. Anyway, everything is controlled by Krishna. That's not correct. We should do what we have. Clear?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one more thing. I know one Mataji, since childhood, she has been taking the treatment. Now she is in 60s. So, practically saying the whole life he has been taking the treatment and still she is on. So, it is really okay. It means that whatever the illness she has, but she is taking the medicine and she accepted that yes, it's Krishna's will, but she is going on with the medicine and all. So, this is okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, she's taking some medicine, she's okay.
Whole life, that is also okay. No problem. But she's accepted, yes, Krishna's will, but she will be like this okay. Hmm.
Like sometimes people are very, very strong devotees and they practice devotional service in a certain way. There may be exceptionally strong devotees. But in general, whatever remedy we have to do, we have to do. We should not do those things. Okay, please read.
When one attains self-realization, the Brahmhood stage, one knows that whatever happens during his life is due to the contamination of the modes of material nature. In the midst of hurricane of the material world, everything changes very quickly, but if one remains silent and simply observes the actions and reactions of the hurricane, he is understood to be liberated. The real qualification of the liberated soul is that he remains Krishna conscious, undisturbed by the actions and reactions of the material energy. Since everything is supplied by the Supreme Lord, the living entity, being fully dependent on him, should not protest or accept anything in terms of his personal sense gratification. Rather, he should receive everything as the mercy of the Lord and remain steady in all circumstances.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful purport because whenever we get too much disturbed, we can actually read this purport. So in Bhagavad Gita 5.20, Krishna is saying, Na praharshet priyam prapya, no duchet prapya cha priyam sthita buddhir asammudo brahmavid brahmanistutaha. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant, nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent and who is unbewildered and who knows the signs of God is already situated in transcendence. So Prabhupada actually compares this material world to a hurricane in this purport. Prabhupada says that in the midst of the hurricane of the material world, recently in America there was some hurricane and there were so many people died also. So it's a very disturbing situation. The material world is a very disturbing situation. But in that material world, one should remain Krishna conscious. And one should be undisturbed by the actions and reactions of the material energy because the actions and reactions of material energy are continuously going on blowing like a hurricane. So what does that practically mean? Prabhupada explains that one should not protest or accept anything in terms of personal sense gratification. That is what it means. That I like it, I don't like it. You protest or accept based on I don't like or I like. Rather, everything should be, okay, Krishna wants this, Krishna doesn't want this. So we have to take it from that perspective. Then we can always remain steady. So this is what Vritrasura is. Vritrasura is accepting everything. He's saying, okay, Krishna wants me to be in demoniac body, let me be in demoniac body. Krishna wants me to fight with Indra and die, let me fight with Indra and die. But in that process, not only he is not morose, but he is also very enthusiastic in doing what he has to do. He is enthusiastically fighting with Indra. And when Indra doesn't fight enthusiastically, he is giving him advice also. Hey, you should also fight enthusiastically, man. Why are you like this? You're also devotee. You should also fight enthusiastically. So he is doing everything. So that makes Vritrasura great. Okay, please read the purport.
Vritrasura was so great and powerful that in fact he was acting as the spiritual master of Indra. Although Vritrasura was on the verge of the defeat, he was not at all affected. He knew that he was going to be defeated by Indra and he voluntarily accepted that. But since he was supposed to be Indra's enemy, he tried his best to kill Indra. Thus, he performed his duty. One should perform his duty under all circumstances, even though one may know what the result will be.
You see, it's a very wonderful purport. Prabhupada is saying that sometimes we may know that, okay, even if I do this, nothing substantial is going to happen. But still, if it is our duty to do it, we should do it. We should do it. Because that is very important. The process is very important. The result is not so important. The process is very important. In the material world, everybody is result-oriented. Because in material world, only result is important. Process is not important. But in Krishna consciousness, process is very important. Result is not so much important. Result may come, may not come. That depends on Krishna. But process, one should very sincerely follow. In one sense, the process is also the result. The process is bhakti and the result is bhakti. So therefore, the process is very important. Okay.
King Indra, the greatest of the demigods, was astonished to hear the instructions of Vritrasura, who was supposed to be a demon. He was struck with wonder that a demon could speak so intelligently. Then he remembered great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, who had been born in the families of demons, and thus he came to his senses. Even so-called demons sometimes have exalted devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Indra smiled reassuringly at Vritrasura.
Okay, please read next.
Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. Indra was surprised to see that Vritrasura, undisturbed, was fixed in devotional service to the Lord, for such a mentality is impossible for a demon.
Yasmin sthitona dukkena gurunapi vishalyate. Says in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, please read next purport.
Lord Vishnu is the Mahapurusha. Therefore, one who becomes a Vaishnava and attains the position of a Mahapurusha. Vritrasura was considered a demon, but actually he was more than a qualified devotee or Mahapurusha. Anyone can be purified if he takes shelter of a pure devotee and molds his character according to the pure devotee's direction.
So that's what happened with Vritrasura. Okay, next purport.
King Indra wondered how Vritrasura could have been elevated to the position of an exalted devotee. For Vritrasura, however, Indra could not detect such causes. Therefore, he was stuck with wonder that Vritrasura was such an exalted devotee that he could fix his mind without deviation upon the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Vasudeva.
Because he doesn't know Vritrasura's flashback. So therefore, Indra is very surprised. Hey, how did you become great devotee? But Vritrasura actually gave him hints that he received instruction from Narad Muni. He gave him enough hints in the prayer. But that time, Indra was not so attentive. He was sleeping in the Bhagavatam class. So therefore, he did not listen to what Vritrasura said. So therefore, he could not catch how Vritrasura became devotee. Now he woke up, he listening to Bhagavatam class very attentively. So now he is thinking, Arey, how did this guy give such a nice class? Oh, I already told previously that why I am giving such a nice class. But sorry, that time I was sleeping. That's why we should never sleep in Bhagavatam class. Sleep in Bhagavatam class, sometimes we miss the most important part. Okay, please read.
A pure devotee is never attracted to any exalted position within this material world. He wants to associate with Krishna's atmosphere of Vrindavan's beauty. These are the highest ambitions of a devotee of Krishna. Devotees of Lord Vishnu may aspire for a position of Vaikuntha Loka, but a devotee of Krishna never aspires even for the facilities of Vaikuntha. He wants to return to Goloka Vrindavan and associate with Lord Krishna in his eternal pastimes. Any material happiness is like water in a ditch, where the spiritual happiness eternally enjoyed in the spiritual world is like an ocean of nectar in which the devotee wants to swim.
Okay, so now they are going to fight with each other. Okay, please read the translation of 24. 24. Oh, Parikshit Maharaj.
O Parikshit Maharaj, Vritasura, who was completely able to subdue his enemy, took his iron club, whirled it around, aimed it at Indra, and then threw at him with his left hand.
Because his right hand was cut off. Okay.
With his thunderbolt named Shataparvan, Indra simultaneously cut to pieces Vritasura's club and his remaining hand.
So right hand also cut, left hand also cut. Okay.
Vritrasura, bleeding profusely, his two arms cut off at their roots, looked very beautiful, like a flying mountain whose wings have been cut to pieces by Indra.
So I want to remind you, when Vritrasura gave the second Bhagavatam class to Indra, his one hand was cut off. Just we should remember this. That in that position, he actually spoke such a nice philosophy to Indra. He was not like sitting in Vyasasan and having some nice garland and giving the class. His one hand was already cut off. Now his second hand is also cut off. Okay. Now we'll see what Vritrasura does. Okay, please read.
Vritrasura was very powerful in physical strength and influence. He placed his lower jaw on the ground and his upper jaw in the sky. His mouth became very deep, like the sky itself, and his tongue resembled a large serpent. With his fearful, death-like teeth, he seemed to be trying to devour the entire universe. Thus, assuming a gigantic body, the great demon Vritrasura shook even the mountains and began crushing the surface of the earth with his legs, as if he were the Himalayas talking about. Came before Indra and swallowed him, and Ravat, his carrier, just as big python might swallow an elephant.
So Vritrasura did what was his favorite pastime? He simply swallowed Indra. Previously, he swallowed all the weapons of the demigods. Now he swallowed Indra himself. Okay. Now let us see what happens. Okay.
The protective armor of Narayana, which Indra possessed.
Oh, you are missing one.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. When the demigods, along with the Brahma, other Prajapatis, and other great saintly persons saw the Indra had been swallowed by the demon, they become very morose. Alas, they lamented. What a calamity, what a calamity.
Okay, next.
The protective armor of Narayana, which Indra possessed, was identical with Narayana himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Protected by that armor and by his own mystic power, King Indra, although swallowed by Vritrasura, did not die within the demon's belly.
Next.
Leela Priyashrama.
Sorry. With his thunderbolt, King Indra, who was also extremely powerful, pierced through Vritrasura's abdomen and came out. Indra, the killer of the demon Bala, then immediately cut off Vritrasura's head, which was as high as the peak of a mountain.
Okay. Next.
Although the thunderbolt revolved around Vritrasura's neck with great speed, separating his head from his body, took one complete year, 360 days, the time in which the sun, moon, and other luminaries complete a northern and a southern journey. Then, at the suitable time for Vritrasura to be killed, his head fell to the ground.
Next.
When Vritrasura was killed, the Gandharvas and Siddhas in the heavenly planets beat kettle drums in jubilation. With Vedic hymns, they celebrated the prowess of Indra, the killer of Vritrasura, praising Indra and showering flowers upon him with great pleasure.
Okay, next.
O King Parikshit, subduer of enemies, the living spark then came forth from Vritrasura's body and returned home, back to Godhead. While all the demigods looked on, he entered the transcendental world to become an associate of Lord Sankarsana.
Read the purport also.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura explains that Indra, not Vritrasura, was actually killed. He says that when Vritrasura swallowed King Indra and his carrier, the elephant, he thought, now I have killed Indra, and therefore there was no more need of fighting. Now let me return home back to Godhead. Taking advantage of the silence of Vritrasura's body, Indra pierced the demon's abdomen, and because of Vritrasura's trance, Indra was able to come out. Actually, it was the body left by Vritrasura that was cut to pieces by Indra. Vritrasura himself was not killed. Here the word alokam means the transcendental word Vaikuntha Loka, where Sankarshana eternally resides.
Thus, in the Bhakti and the purports of 6th canto, 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Glorious Death. Yes, we have two hands up. We take Dharka Krishna Prabhu's hand first. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Ram
So
Prabhuji.
I have a question that yesterday we were reading for three sections that first Vritrasura rebuked, then advises and chastised. So he was already aware of the plans of Krishna, and now he is swallowing the Indra, believing that he's died, Indra has died. So it seems contradictory.
I think
One, he
contradiction.
believing the
I think contradiction.
one he believing that. Sorry.
There's no contradiction.
It's one. It seems like that. Vritrasura is supposed to be killed. He convinced with that thing. Now he's swallowing Indra to killing Indra. So it seems contradictory.
No, it's not contradiction. Because Vritrasura want to show that even if I swallow Indra, Krishna will be victorious. Krishna's plan only will happen. And this is also showing Indra that what is the power of Krishna's plan. That practically he swallowed Indra. But Indra should have been digested in Vritrasura's belly. But Indra did not get digested in Vritrasura's belly because of Krishna's power, because of the power of Narayana Kavacha. So he was able to cut Vritrasura's belly and come out, and he was able to cut Vritrasura's neck. So it shows that in spite of whatever might be the circumstance, however difficult it might be, only Krishna's plan will work. So one should have faith that Krishna's plan will work. Previously, Indra did not have that faith. Now, Vritrasura instilled that faith in Indra so that Indra could actually face Vritrasura. And then Vritrasura swallowed him. It doesn't matter because he knows ultimately Krishna will make sure that he will die and Indra will become victorious, even if he swallows. Krishna doesn't require Vritrasura's help to make his plan work. Vritrasura's duty was to fight. So he was fighting. That's it. And in spite of all the things which Vritrasura can do, still Krishna will prevail. That is what Vritrasura is showing. So therefore, there's no contradiction. There's no contradiction. Now, the explanation which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives that Indra was actually killed. The fact is that Indra was not killed. He came out. But Indra was figuratively killed because he was swallowed by Vritrasura. So anybody who is swallowed by somebody is considered to be killed. But actually he was not killed. So as far as the battle is concerned, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out that Indra is not the winner, Vritrasura is the winner. But because of the Lord's power, Indra was able to come out and he was able to kill Vritrasura. And that also Vishnu Chakra is saying that he did not kill Vritrasura. Vritrasura actually left his body in Yoga Samadhi. And only Indra simply cut his neck. That's it. That is what Vishnu Chakra Thakur explained. So there is no contradiction in this. No contradiction.
Thank you.
Yes, Rukmini Hari sir.
Prabhuji, can you please show the last verse, the second last verse of this chapter? Just one slide before.
Yeah. This is the last verse.
Yes, Prabhuji. When Vritrasura was killed, the Gandharvas and Siddhas in the heavenly planet beat. So, Prabhuji, actually, it's a victory of a Vritrasura, but they are celebrating. What is the role of Gandharvas and Siddhas in the heavenly planets? Why they are praising Indra and showering? Why there is no glorious death of Vritrasura is explained here.
So they are all, quasi demigods. They are actually serving the demigods. So naturally, they are all happy when the demigods become victorious and they praise the demigods. Okay, externally, it looks like that Vritrasura is a demon and Indra is a devotee and Vritrasura killed the demon. Okay, so therefore, they praised Indra, that Indra, you are so great, you killed Vritrasura. Indra is also glorified as the killer of Vritrasura, because killing Vritrasura is not such an easy task, which Indra did. So Indra is also glorified like that. So they did their job, they did their task. There's nothing wrong in that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, can you please show the last verse as well?
Yes.
Uh, Hare Krishna. Sorry,
Yes.
Prabhuji. Because of silence of Vritrasura bodies, because of Vritrasura friends, Indra was able to. Yes, it was the body left by Vritrasura that was cut into pieces by Indra. Does it mean like Vritrasura has already left his body, that gigantic body, and went back to home, back to Godhead? After that, Indra pierced Vritrasura's body. Does it mean?
So this is what Prabhupada says. Now Vritrasura was in Yoga Samadhi. Therefore, although Indra wanted to cut his neck, the demon's neck was so stiff that Indra's thunderbolt took 360 days to cut it. Actually, it was the body left by Vritrasura which was cut by pieces. Vritrasura himself was not killed. Means that he actually left back home, back to Godhead in Yoga Samadhi. That's what it means.
Okay. So actually, there was no meaning then, being cut that neck or something when he already left.
Yeah, but still he cut.
Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of this chapter. Now we have done enough of Indra bashing. We are told Indra is, this guy, that guy, all these things. But actually, Indra is a great personality. And in order to understand the greatness of Indra, we should read the last chapter. So, yes.
Ruchi, one more thing. We read in the previous verses that when the one arm was cut, then it was looking like a beautiful mountain or something.
Two
The
arms were cut.
description.
And two arms were cut.
Yes. So, Prabhuji, how to relish this thing, this action? It is like of a particular taste of a person, of
This
a
is all
soul, or
Virya Rasa. This is all Virya Rasa. We cannot even relate to Virya Rasa because we are not in battlefield. We don't fight. We are not Kshatriyas. We don't have this sense of relishing Virya Rasa. In Virya Rasa, the wound in battlefield is the most decorated possession. But for us, even if we have a small cut while doing some work in the kitchen and little bit blood comes out, we are already ready to faint. So we can't relish this kind of descriptions because we are not made with that kind of stuff. So therefore, for us, it looks very odd that, this man's two hands is cut. How does he look beautiful like a mountain? We don't understand because we can't relate to that kind of rasa, the Virya rasa, we can't relate to. Even in Bhishma Dev's, in the first canto also it's explained, the Bhishma Dev was throwing arrow at Krishna and those arrows were piercing Krishna's body and blood was coming out of Krishna's body. And both Bhishma Dev and Krishna, they are enjoying this. So Krishna is treating those arrows as flowers thrown by lover. This is what Prabhupada says in the purport. Now if someone comes and pierces our body, we will not consider this as a flower thrown by lover. So we don't have that kind of taste. So these are all activities of Virya Rasa. So therefore we are unable to relish this kind of descriptions.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now Indra afflicted by sinful reaction. Okay, please read.
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, you are so charitably disposed. When Vritasura was killed, all the presiding deities and everyone else in three planetary systems was immediately pleased and free from trouble. Everyone, that is, except Indra.
Only Indra was in problem. Okay, please read.
Thereafter, the demigods, the great saintly persons, the inhabitants of Pitralok and Bhutlok, the demons, the followers of the demigods, and also Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the demigods, subordinate to Indra, all returned to their respective homes. While departing, however, no one spoke to Indra.
Okay, please read.
Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadev Goswami, O great sage, what was the reason for Indra's unhappiness? I wish to hear about this. When he killed Vritrasur, all the demigods were extremely happy. Why then was Indra himself unhappy?
It's a very important question. Very, very important question he asked. And now Sukadev Goswami is giving answer. Okay.
Shri Shukdev Goswami answered, when all the great sages and demigods were disturbed by the extraordinary power of Vritasura, they had assembled to ask Indra to kill him. Indra, however, being afraid of killing a Brahman, declined their request.
Next.
King Indra replied, when I killed Vritasura, I received extensive sinful reactions, but I was favored by the woman, land, trees, and water, and therefore I was able to divide the sin among them. But now, if I kill Vritasura, another Brahmana, how shall I free myself from the sinful reactions?
Okay, next.
Shri Shukdev Goswami said, hearing this, the great sages replied to King Indra, O King of heaven, all good fortune unto you. Do not fear, we shall perform an Ashwamedha sacrifice to release you from any sin you may accrue by killing the Brahmana.
Okay.
The rishis continued, O King Indra, by performing an Ashwamedha sacrifice and thereby pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Super Soul, Lord Narayan, the Supreme Controller, one can be relieved even of the sinful reactions for killing the entire world, not to speak of killing a demon like Vritasura.
Okay, next.
One who has killed a Brahmana, one who has killed a cow, or one who has killed his father, mother, or spiritual master can be immediately freed from all sinful reactions simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Narayan. Other sinful persons, such as dog eaters and chandals, who are less than Shudras, can also be freed in this way. But you are a devotee, and we shall help you performing the great horse sacrifice. If you please Lord Narayan in that way, why should you be afraid? You will be freed even if you kill the entire universe, including the Brahmanas, not to speak of killing a disturbing demon like Vritrasura.
Okay. So, next, last in this section.
Shri Shukdev Goswami said, encouraged by the words of a sage, Indra killed Vritasura, and when he was killed, the sinful reaction for killing a Brahmana, Brahmatya, certainly took shelter of Indra.
So now we see a completely different Indra in this chapter. So all this time we have been telling that, oh, Indra was this, Indra was that, Indra is so bad, Indra is like this, Indra is like that. But actually Indra was not willing to kill Vritrasura. He said, I don't want to kill him. He's a Brahman. I don't want to kill him. Then the sages told him, no, you go and kill him. We'll do Aswamedha Yajna. We'll make everything all right. So this is the position of any devotee who does management service. Indra is a manager of universal affairs, but he is also a devotee. So then what happens? Anybody who does management is constantly subjected to criticism because they have to do things which they have to do. And there are people who are telling him, you do this, we'll support you. You do this, you only have to take action, you take action, we support you. But then finally, when time comes, everybody runs away. And this fellow looks like an idiot. And everybody says, oh, this fellow is so bad, he did like this, he did like that. So therefore, we should be very careful to criticize devotees. It's a very important lesson we should learn. Be very careful to criticize devotees. Everybody freely criticizing Indra. Oh, Indra like this, Indra like that. No. You see Indra's compulsion, that why he acted like this. He was not willing to kill Vritrasura. Everybody went and told him, no, you are Indra, it is your duty, you should go and kill Vritrasura. We do everything for you. Now, when time came, everybody ran away from him. Nobody even spoke to him. He was left alone. Indra was left alone with his sinful reactions. So therefore, that's why I always keep saying that Indra is an exalted person. Indra is an exalted person. Why we saying that? Because he is an exalted person. That's why Krishna is supporting him. That's why Krishna is giving him so much favor. Because he is an exalted devotee. But sometimes he has to act in a certain way. And there could be reasons that we may not see that why he's acted in a certain way. So therefore, before becoming judgmental on devotees, we should be very careful, especially devotees who are doing difficult service. Before being judgmental on them, we should be very careful. We should be very careful. We should not become so easily judgmental on devotees who are actually carrying out difficult services. Rather, we should try to see how much we can support them. Sometimes they may get carried away, just like Indra got carried away. There's no doubt about it, he got carried away. But at the same time, we should recognize that he is doing a very difficult service. To be Indra is not so easy. So therefore, they also require support. They also require encouragement. They also require some, and that's what exactly Vritrasura did. Vritrasura gave the exact support which Indra needed so that he could perform his duties. That's why Vritrasura is great. He never, of course, he rebuked Indra, he criticized Indra, but these are all part of battlefield. But when it really came to supporting Indra, the greatest supporter of Indra was Vritrasura himself, who was his so-called enemy. Because Vritrasura understood Indra's position, how difficult it is. So therefore, he gave him clear and concise directions to Indra that how he should act and what he should do. And due to that strength of Vritrasura's advice, Indra was able to go through the post Vritrasura's killing, and he was able to purify himself. So therefore, two things is very, very important. One thing is very important, that we should not try to criticize devotees who are doing difficult service, is number one. And number two, if possible, we should try to support them. And number three, that devotees who are doing difficult service, they should not fail to take association of pure devotees. If they don't take association of pure devotees, then they may get carried away in their own services and they may do things which are not appropriate. So these are all very important aspects, practical aspects for us to understand from this particular aspect of this pastime. Okay, yes, Priyamukanda, we have some comment.
So just a question, Toji.
Yes.
The Brahmanas, everyone, they recommended, they said, that, all of the sins can be, atoned by chanting of the Harinam. But then, instead of, recommending, that Harinam be chanted, they say, that let's do a Ashwamedh Yajna for you, to atone for your sins.
Yeah.
Why this, I mean, when the simple remedy was available, why, do the complex Right.
So every yuga has its system. That in Satya Yuga, the system is the meditation. The Treta Yuga, the system is sacrifice. Dwapara Yuga, the system is deity worship. And Kali Yuga, the system is chanting the holy name. But Jiva Goswami points out that it is not only for Kali Yuga. The chanting the holy name is common in all the yugas. Means that you have to, in Satya Yuga, you have to go through Ashtanga Yoga, but you should also chant the holy name, because the external process is Ashtanga Yoga and the actual process is chanting the holy name. So, in order to chant the holy name, one should qualify oneself with Ashtanga Yoga in Satya Yuga. In Treta Yuga, the process is chanting the holy name only. But the medium of chanting the holy name is the sacrifice. So then there should be very elaborate sacrifices, then qualified brahmanas who can actually chant mantras and sacrifice animals into the fire and then bring them back to life. So there's a lot of qualification required for chanting the holy name in Treta Yuga. That was the qualification. In Dwapara Yuga, again, the process is deity worship, but that is through chanting the holy name. So then one has to be clean, one has to make Bhuta Suddhi, Dravya Suddhi, that Suddhi, this Suddhi. So much of qualification required to chant the holy name. But in Kali Yuga, the other extra processes are not there because people are not qualified for any of those extra processes. So in Kali Yuga, directly chanting the holy name is given. But in previous yugas, the chanting the holy name was given to those people who actually qualified by that particular process. So therefore, chanting the holy name is not a simple thing. It's a very exalted process. In Satya Yuga, it was given to only people who actually were going towards Paramatma realization. It was so difficult to chant, to get the chanting of the holy name. You can see that, for Dhruva, he gives, Narada gives the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, which is nothing but chanting the holy name. But he is giving him a very tough process. And Dhruva follows that tough process. That he eats only this, he doesn't eat, and finally he only breathes, he doesn't eat anything, and he stands like a column on the tip of his toe. So the point is that Jiva Goswami points out that chanting the holy name is there in all the yugas, and that is the primary process. But that process, the way of doing it in each yuga is different. In Satya Yuga, it is done through Ashtanga Yoga. In Treta Yuga, it is done through sacrifice. In Dwapara Yuga, it is done through deity worship. In Kali Yuga, it is simply done without any accompanying process, because we are not qualified to do any of these accompanying process. So that is the greatest mercy of Lord Chaitanya, that a process which requires the highest of qualification, that has been given to the lowest of people. That is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So then we think, ये तो इसको तो chant कर सकता था, ये तो बहुत simple है. No, it's not simple. It was never